guys were good to go.
One thing Rod asked about yesterday with Coach Dwane is what his impact has been, and you mentioned it's the fundamentals, but how has he been impacting the shooting?
Well, good. That's one of his areas. The guys are shooting the ball much better. He's been working a lot with Killian and some with Cade and all those young guys. So, it's not going to just have to happen overnight, but you can see the improvement. The main thing is the readiness, the getting the hands and feet ready. Killian's is balance, making sure he has a proper balance with his feet, and he's progressing with that. So it's a I hate to use his word again, process of those guys coming, and it's not going to happen overnight, but much better as far as their release, their form, and all those. So Coach B has done a good job. The proof is in the pudding, and Kid Robinson down at Miami, so I'm gonna go with the experience part on that one. So he'll get him right.
I know you have a practice where you give guys their roles, and it's usually like 2 or 3 things, I think, is generally it. 3? 4, okay. Well, with Hammy and with Josh Jackson, is there any difference between what you're going to give those?
Most of the same. They're wing runners. First, the defenders, elite defenders at their position. Then wing runners, and we'll have some others on there that we'll keep in. But they have similar roles as far as who they are and what they do, what they bring to the table.
Because of that overlap, I mean, is it a situation where it would be hard to play them at the same time, or do you look at it as other?
No, you could play them at the same time. No, they in today you could use them as 2 athletes, and but there's nothing that would hinder them from playing at the same time.
With the game, the first preseason game next week, do you kind of have a checkbox list of things that you want to kind of get accomplished in your practices before then, and how far along are you?
Well, we're everything except we've got our zone in and working on our zone, but not completely yet. And I really don't feel comfortable yet. Last thing we're going to start getting into the zone offense and a press offense, and that's coming along, but not completely there yet. So, right, you hit it on the head. That's where you get nervous, start getting nervous. But we still have some time, even if you don't have it all in by the first exhibition game. You still have some time.
I know you got guys in here for the past month or so working out and everything. There's a different intensity level when you come to training camp. So from a conditioning standpoint, from an injury standpoint, where are you guys right now?
Well, from the volunteer work in September to now, Vince, it has to be a different level of intensity, concentration, focus. The summertime basketball, so to speak, has to be parked at the door. And health-wise, just like any other training camp, you're gonna have nicks and bruises and turned ankles and whatever, but nothing's at all serious, 0. So conditioning-wise, guys came back in good condition. So right now, Cade has a turned ankle, so he's very mild, but we're going to be cautious just to make sure that he recovers before next week. So. And I think Frank turned his ankle today too. So a couple of guys with mild ankle sprain.
When did they turn it?
But 2 days. It's a little bit while ago, about 3 days ago. So I don't know specifically. Don't hold me to that, but just it got some swelling on it and typical turned ankle.
With Hammy, he is historically not been a guy who's taken many of his shots from the 3-point line, and it ticked up a little bit last year. And with you guys, he hit it at almost 40%. He can be an effective player without really becoming a great 3-point shooter, but what under your offense, you're going to encourage those shots for him. What is your expectation for what he might become as a 3-point shooter?
Well, Keith, you hope that he will take a jump up. I forgot what he ended up 33 last year. Was it
39 with you guys? I
think. 39. Okay. Overall, what was the overall? 30, but 39 overall. Yeah. But if he can get 36, 30. But again, my last thing with Hammy and Josh is their 3-point shooting. We need their elite defensive acumen. and ability. That's what we need as much as anything else from them. You know, the three-point shooting, it would be great. But again, they're great attackers, they're great finishers at the rim. I think it should be a higher emphasis as much because the three-point line is going to be spaced pretty well with, Kelly and Trey and Jeremy. And so you got a lot of guys. So now we got to get some attackers getting to the paint, kicking out, or finishing at the rim. So, but again, if they're open, I encourage the three-point shot, the shots that they work on. But that's kind of last on the line of a laundry list of contributions they can bring to the table.
With Cade and Killian, a lot's been said of their fit, but you look across the league and you see a lot of teams that, run 2-3 binders at a time that have issues. You have 2 20-year final is it is just putting them out there and then they'll figure it out, especially since only one of them played NBA games and Killian only played 26 last year.
So, one more time, so you have 2 young.
Sure, you have 2 young guys and Killian and Cade. A lot's been said of their fit. But from a coach, you just kind of have to let them go out there and play and figure it out, especially given that they have so little NBA time between them.
Just put them out there and let them figure it out.
Right.
That's not going to happen. They're going to, feel the system, understand the system. And I think what you're asking, can they get out there and figure out how to play together?
Right.
No, there's a method to the madness. If one has the ball, there's another responsibility the other guy has to have, and vice versa. So within our offense, the 1, 2s, and 3s, a lot of their responsibilities are the same. Now, who brings it up the floor? If I'm a basketball player, I don't want to be that guy who brings it up the floor all the time, because 9 times out of 10, he's not going to get the shot or get the opportunity, unless you're playing against a bad defensive team. So that's alternate bringing it up the floor, get it to the second side. Now we play with the second side. Now you're going to have one of those ball handlers on the second side of the floor. So in today's game, you got to have an attack pick and roll guy on the second side, a guy that can make a play for somebody else on the second side. If you try to come down and attack that strong side every time, you're not going to get very much. So that's why it's very important that we develop them for both positions to be able to attack.
And as a coach, do you feel more inclined to pair them together more often than not, just because, they are the 2 recent lottery picks and it's something that, they will have to buy together?
The lottery pick doesn't, it's who gets it done out there and over the summer. For me, I don't look at a guy, you drafted number 1, or you draft, if guy's not getting it done on the court, there's no, you're disrespecting your teammates if you're going to just say, okay, you're drafted high, so you're going to automatically get minutes. No, it's going to be the same up and down the board. Their abilities and what they bring to the table I'd be more inclined to do that. Right now, Cade's ability and Killian's ability, both, they have the opportunity to be out there and have shown it. So, but Cade's not playing and Killian's not playing just because they're number 1. They, and if either one of them are not playing well, they won't be in the game. Because I can't cheat the other players, the other teammates, to leave them out there just because they're number 7. So I think I remember what Cade was.
But just building on that, was there enough in summer league that you saw with their defense together, just even on the defensive side,
Right.
and what they can do offensively, that just says this makes a lot of sense with just pairing those 2 together, just from that sample size?
Yeah, I would say that's a good indication, not the only indication by saying summer league, but it was a good indication that both of them can play together. It's summer league is not all what you make your determination on, because guys could play great in summer league and struggle in regular season and look terrible in summer league and come back and play great. So it's the whole level of work, the whole body of work, from summer league to fall individual workouts to training camp.
When it comes to summer league, how do you separate, what's real from maybe what's in the flash of the pan? Because we've seen a lot of, like you said, we've seen guys come out and play really well, and it doesn't translate. Sometimes guys struggle, and then they end up becoming rotation players. That's
the age-old question. Guys look great in summer league. But I will say this, a lot of guys that play well in summer league are playing well now. Pickett is playing well. Killian is playing much better, and Cade has played well here in camp and fall. So it's one of those things where you just have to let the process run its course. Go through summer league, through the fall, through exhibition, and then you make that decision determination. And it wouldn't be fair to all the other players coming right now and say this is the lineup right here, this is the lineup right here. There's a lot of things can happen between now and the beginning of the season. And even once the season starts, we have so many guys that are like this, and he was so many guys at the same stage. It's going to be almost a flip of the coin, seeing who emerges between them. And again, it could change throughout the season. So it's going to be probably a fluid situation with the playing time and lineups and whole 9 yards.
You mentioned John Beeline, that's the fundamentals and got shot on. Does Cade have a hitch in his shot? Does he put it in front? Is it like
no, it's just the only thing with Cade, getting it up higher, getting his release up higher, which he does. I mean, you would think that he has trouble getting it off here, but he's demonstrated that when he does not do it perfectly every time, he still gets it off. And so he's one of those players that it doesn't look perfect, but it goes in. So, but the one thing that John's been working on him with is just getting it up higher. So that's about it, because everything else is perfect. He's got the size and length.
Is that one of those things where you don't want to mess with that?
No, you're not. The one thing, Vince, when you do that, you don't want to break a guy's shot down this close to the season. Just tear it all the way down. That's not turning it down. That's just a little adjustment more so than anything else. And I've had guys where you just break it all the way down to how he puts the ball in his hand and all that. It's not that at all.
I think everybody kind of figured when you were going to free agency that you were going to have a veteran point guard with young point guards. How important was it for you to get Corey back?
Huge. Corey knows the system. He knows the terminology. I can't remember, was Corey with us until 2 years or 3 years? 2 years. So he knows the system. I mean, he played him a lot with Lowry and DeRozan at the guard position. So he knows every nuance, every terminology, what you're looking for in our offense. So it was huge, and he's been a godsend to those young guys because he's always talking. I love Corey's spirit. He's a team first guy, and usually the older guys are trying to eat their own. They're trying to take all the minutes they can from those young guys, but that's not Corey. He wants to do what's best for the Detroit Pistons. So he's been great with that.
How does Saban's shooting look in camp this week?
Saban is good. His shooting is good. Now his whole charge is getting the rest of his point guard game together. Again, that's probably for me last on the list. I know he wants to do it, and he should. He should work on his three-point shooting. But the main thing with Saban coming in is he's got to be our defensive stopper. He's got to pick guys up full court, move them, guard the pick and roll, get in the paint, create havoc, be ready to kick out. If he can't get the rim, fine, but 9 times out of 10, he's going to be going against a 7-footer. Make sure he gets, our shooters the ball at the right time and right place. So that's the next evolution of his game is the B&D point guard, the lead guard, so to speak.
I remember last year we talked about Jeremy Grant and how he was ending up on the floor a lot when he attacked the basket. I think you said a lot of that was him just getting used to a new role and taking on responsibilities, legs getting tired. Have you seen any change in him physically, or maybe even an approach in how he manages his body or plans to manage his body, I guess?
Well, James, the most important thing with Jeremy right now, he's playing with so much confidence. I think last year he was coming in trying to learn to be the man. And that's a big jump. That's a lot of responsibility, not only scoring, but getting steals. You bring 2 to you, now you got to find your teammates. And he's done an excellent job of coming in camp this year of being the man. He's playing with confidence. He knows what he wants to do. He knows where his shots are coming from. It's not like he's forcing it. So that's the biggest change I've seen in his game, is he's more comfortable of being the primary scorer.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, how much of that is due to, Blake and Derek no longer being key guys here in training camp?
That's another good point too. He's there's no nobody one above him in the pecking order, and so that frees him up to be the primary scorer. That's a good point, Ron. That helps a lot. That helps a lot of people, I think, as far as their roles, their position in pecking order. You got Sadiq, now he takes a step up. Killian has to take a step up because of Derek not being here. So it does affect a lot of people, and it helps, and it's going to help us in the long run.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys. Go Michigan basketball.